What's up, everybody? Welcome to your podcast, the upcoming retro podcast, episode number 2. I am the video game votary, and my fellow co-hosts. Introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, I'm AK Games. Nice to talk to you guys this week. Or talk with you guys this week, I should say.
Yeah,
What's going on, guys? I'm Wrecked. Welcome into episode 2. I'm excited, man.
yeah, I'm super excited. So you guys can obviously see from the background, I am not home. I'm at Southeast Game Exchange, and left the convention for a little bit to come talk with you guys. So we're gonna have a good show. Um, so the biggest thing I think that's been going on in gaming the past couple of weeks is Xbox. If you guys can tell from the title and from the thumbnail, Xbox is over. And I said kinda. So the reasoning behind that, you haven't known or you haven't seen, Xbox is bringing Game Pass to Fire TV. So what that means, you don't even need a $500 or $300 console anymore to enjoy Xbox Game Pass. So I want to know, AK Games, what do you think about that?
I think it's a huge move, to be honest. I mean, they're pretty much cutting out the middleman of, people buying, a few $100 console. I think that's innovative and that's really good because, that gets more people, introduced to, playing these games and stuff like that for a very low cost. So my biggest concern though is like, how is the performance gonna be? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, how is that gonna work? I mean, because you're gonna play it on the Fire Stick, and I imagine that it's not gonna be, that powerful. So I'm just curious to see, like, when it comes out, like, how's it gonna look? How's it gonna
right.
play and stuff like that. But I think the initial idea is amazing, 100%.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Rec, what do you think?
So, question. I've had this thing forever in my house, and it's unopened. It's brand new. It'll play on this thing? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I mean for right now, but what I'm thinking is because obviously you can download apps to it, and they do have storage. So
Okay.
what I'm thinking is going to happen is they're going to make a stronger Fire Stick.
Okay, so as of right now, though, this is the Fire Stick we're talking about, though.
That's right. Yep. Either
That's,
that, or if you have the Fire TV, where that
yeah.
application's built in. So
Okay, so
yeah,
it's kind of like a Roku TV or whatever, but made by
absolutely, yeah,
Amazon.
pretty much.
So how would you hook a controller to this thing? Like, is there like an option on the Fire Stick? Like,
It must be some kind of Bluetooth option. That's why I'm
Right.
curious when it comes out.
Yeah.
I might have to test that and maybe do like a short video on that or something because I
Hmm.
have one. I've had this thing in my house for over a year and I've never opened it because I've always had Roku. So, um, honestly, I think it's great for the consumer because it makes Game Pass more accessible to more people at a cheaper cost. I think it's a terrible idea if Xbox wanted any chance of building a brand or selling consoles, because why would anybody go out and spend $500 on an Xbox Series X when I could buy a Fire TV or a Fire Stick?
Totally agree.
It's one of those things where I don't think Xbox is really, I don't think they really care about their consoles the way that the other big companies do, like Nintendo or PlayStation.
Hmm.
To be honest, dude, I just at this point in the game, I don't really see a point in owning a Series X or a Series S if you're able to play Game Pass on literally everything. And I know that Phil Spencer has talked about the fact that, like, if they don't hit a certain number in Game Pass subscribers by 2026, they're going to have to rethink the whole thing. And so they're just trying anything at this point to get Game Pass in more people's houses. And I don't know, man, as a brand, as a console manufacturer, I don't know how smart that is, because as a casual consumer that wants to play video games, I would rather buy a $50 Fire TV stick than go out and buy a $500 console, especially if they can get it to run right. I mean, if you have good enough Wi-Fi, I
Hmm.
mean, if it's comparable and it's a decent gaming experience, why would you buy an Xbox at this point? I mean, they don't have exclusives that are worth a damn. I'm sorry, Starfield. As a Bethesda fan, it's like that was a huge letdown for me. So it's like if I'm a gamer, I'm going with the Switch or I'm going with the PS5. Yeah.
For sure.
So, and if you own a PC, then I still don't see the point in owning an Xbox if you have a gaming PC because Game Pass is on there as well. So I don't know what Xbox is thinking. I think they're just trying to sell subscriptions to their service, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So my opinion, I agree with AK. I think it's a brilliant idea. And if you look at what people were saying, like Phil Spencer, like they took losses on every one of their consoles, right? So that was never. Well, I think initially it was a big deal, but from just those couple events and things that when he talked about the state of Xbox, he said that Xbox is not really failing, but the brand is actually doing well. Meaning, what he means by that is Game Pass. So um, I don't think he's concerned at all with um, the consoles anymore. And I feel like this to me was the nail in the coffin because, and honestly, I can't see where they fail with this because you're going to open the door to so many more people, even if it's casual. They don't care.
Yeah.
They would just want to make money. So now you're going to be in almost everybody's homes at this point.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody has, smart TV, or at least they may be able to download the app. I don't know exactly how that infrastructure is going to be for it to work, but I imagine they're gonna make a stronger. Well, I don't even know if because they already make a 4K Fire Stick.
Right.
Now, I don't think it needs to be stronger. It just as long as it's big enough to hold the application, that's going to be the actual app is going to be ran through Microsoft. So
Yeah, it's going to
you
be
kind of
all
don't need it,
it's going
but
to be cloud based, right? So like you're going to be
pretty much,
you're
yeah.
you're just going to be streaming the game like you would a Netflix movie. So as long as the
Right.
app can hold the application like you were saying, it's like, as long as you have good internet and you can stream games over the cloud, I mean, yeah, I mean it makes sense, dude, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm
I
pretty sure they're gonna have a. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
you're
I think
good.
they're gonna definitely have a requirement, but go ahead, AK. You got it.
I was just gonna say, I think the biggest thing is just that it's easy, and like you said, is getting more people in the door, so that way maybe if they want to take gaming, a little more seriously, then they will eventually buy the console. I think it's a good gateway as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's very true.
I think that honestly, Phil Spencer even admitted that the console wars are over.
Hmm.
We don't care about that. We just want to put games in as many people's hands as possible. And I think the biggest problem that Xbox is going to face is coming out with those good exclusive games that are going to get people to buy Game Pass or want to try Game Pass, and being able to keep up with putting good games on there on a regular basis.
Hmm.
The thing is like Xbox acquired all of these studios over the last couple of years, from Bethesda to Activision Blizzard, and they have so many titles, and obviously the acquisition just went through for Activision. So
Hmm.
I'm curious to see with all of these studios what games or exclusives they're going to come out with. I don't even know if they necessarily care too much about exclusives anymore. I think they just buy these studios to obviously own the IPs to make money at the end of the day. They don't really care about competing against Sony or Nintendo.
Yeah.
They just want to make money. And
Right.
that's okay. It is what it is. I just don't see the incentive of buying an Xbox at this point with so many other options on the market.
Yeah. Yeah, I could agree with that. Unless I'm all about this Series S at this point.
Yeah.
Not the $300 price point. No,
Yeah, so
find one, on marketplace or something like that.
so my friend Angelus in chat says they're pivoting away from consoles. Next gen Xbox will be the last gen of their home consoles. They don't need consoles anymore. And that makes sense. I mean, I
Makes total sense.
dude, one day we're going to see Game Pass on a PlayStation and Nintendo console.
It's coming. It's
So
coming.
I know they also recently bought, the Call of Duty franchise too. I know that was a very big like
Hmm.
scandal that happened because everybody was scared that like Call of Duty was not going to be on PlayStation anymore and all that stuff. But now that it's kind of seems like they're kind of taking their focus away from console, like I wonder how that's going to affect like that franchise.
Well, I
That's
know.
heavily on console.
Well, I know that they had to make a deal when acquiring Activision about Call of Duty. I know Sony was like freaking out about that because that's one of their biggest franchises that they sell
Yeah.
on their console. And they had to make a deal where for the next 10 years, they're still going to be putting Call of Duty games on the PlayStation. That obviously I think is going to change. I think that they're going to just always keep Call of Duty on every console. I don't think Microsoft cares about taking all of these IPs and making them exclusive to Xbox because that would be dumb on their part. Think of how many millions of fans that play on PlayStation or Nintendo that if you took these IPs away from them, they would just lose money. And when you spend almost $70 billion on a studio, it'd be dumb for you to make a decision like that because I feel like if I bought all those, I would put it on every platform to make the most money and make my money back and then some.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why I was getting ready to say. I'm pretty sure because at first I was kind of like, all right, well, they're trying to make a push to get back into the scene, as far as not losing the console wars. But now seeing this kind of come and beginning to happen, now I can see the point. Because like at first, like, all right, you're buying everything. Now what? But
Yeah.
what it is to have this available on that platform to
Hmm.
expand it, have it on the Fire Sticks, have it on the Nintendo Switch, have it in the PlayStation, on PS5 to be able to download and play Xbox Game Pass on pretty much everything. So, in the grand scheme of things, yes, they can make money. Um, but my biggest thing that I'm thinking about is when they want to. I don't know. It almost seems like they probably are going to get away from selling games because who in their right mind is going to pay $70 for a game when 9 times out of 10 it's going to come out on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So
That's kind of where I feel like it's a weird thing where, you're getting a lot of day one AAA titles, right on Game
mhm,
Pass. I think that if they don't start selling enough subscriptions to make it viable, I think that's going to change. I think it's going to come to a point in the future if they don't start selling more subscriptions that these big AAA first party titles will no longer be day one Game Pass, games. I think that they're, I don't know how many, how many Call of Duties you're going to get day one on Game Pass, right? They're going to lose out on a lot of money by doing that. And I don't know how smart that would be for them to do.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But one point you brought up that I thought made a lot of sense in this franchise that I play, Call of Duty. Like, how is that going to affect the Xbox players when in terms of Game Pass, like being on like the Fire Stick and stuff like that? Like, streaming the game is one thing, but streaming first person shooter game online on top of that, AK, what you think about that?
That's exactly my point when I, brought up the Call of Duty, uh, you know, point when they bought it and stuff. Like, how is
Hmm.
that gonna look streaming? Because I mean, honestly, like I would play that a lot on like PS5 stream, and it barely works. Like, you have to get like really good internet to be able to stream while playing a first person shooter game. So I just don't think it's gonna work that good. And I don't think it's gonna work how they think it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you think about that, Rick?
Well, a lot of people complain about cloud gaming as it is because it's not perfect. And again, if you don't have top-notch internet,
Hmm.
it's not going to stream as well as you would want. And the thing is when you are playing a first-person shooter like a Call of Duty, every frame matters. Like if you're playing a game like Fortnite or
Hmm.
any type of competitive shooting game,
Hmm.
it's if you're even with top-notch internet, cloud gaming is still not where they want it to be.
Right.
I remember when I don't remember if it was Nintendo or if it was one of the consoles when they came out with Kingdom Hearts, but it was cloud gaming only. I think you can only play them over the
Yeah.
cloud, and they
Hmm.
ran terribly. I want to say it was the Switch, but I could be wrong. So cloud gaming's not quite where they want it to be.
Hmm.
But you know what, dude? Will it run just fine? Yeah. So somebody in chat, my buddy Ange, says it was on the Switch, where
Okay.
when you bought Kingdom Hearts, it was through the cloud that you were playing it, and it ran like garbage.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Oh.
I would never play a competitive shooter. If I really gave a damn about my performance, I would never play it over cloud streaming. Not yet, anyway. It's not quite there yet.
Yeah. And as you guys were talking and making your points, it kind of made me think like I got a feeling like it's not even going to be available for the cloud base because if you think about how many updates Call of Duty has and Fortnite has
Ugh.
on a regular. So you know, playing on cloud, not you're saving it to the cloud, but I'm like, how is that going to work? So I mean, it sounds like unless they put something together where they're able to do that, but that would be a lot versus you know, you logging in on your specific console, you're downloading, you know, your update for it. And but instead of that, now, you know, it's all based on Microsoft's network to control whoever, however many players they have on
Mm,
there. So I don't know. I when it comes to that, I don't know how they're going to manage that, to be honest with you. But I think the thought process overall is a good idea to have more people just be exposed to Xbox. But they got a lot to figure out to get it to
mm.
work and work in the proper way that they want it to in order to succeed. And with that announcement, makes me think I want to ask you guys, have either of you experienced the Netflix game?
Netflix gaming.
No.
No, I haven't. I've seen it. I've heard about it. I've never tried it. I don't really know what's on there or what that entails, to be honest with you.
I
Yeah,
know.
so go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I know I saw that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was on there, and it really
Hmm.
piqued my interest. But it's like I don't know if I like trusted enough to try it because San Andreas is like one of the best GTA's. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not, but I was really tempted to to try it.
I mean, it's worth it. I haven't, but my buddy said he's tried it. So some kind of way, I guess you when you log into Netflix, you're able to go to a section for gaming, and then you download something, or it takes you to a certain place where you can, I guess, download it on your phone or whatever, and then you can play it on the TV, like or download to TV. I don't know exactly, but it's something along those lines. But
Mhm.
you know, it is available. It's been around now. I'd imagine Xbox probably swooping in and kind of taking that over, just to kind of, all right, look, we'll handle that part to make it easier for you. But I mean, you know, I'm curious now. I would definitely want to try that out just to see how it works, because that will kind of be, I think, a good indicator of how well the Game Pass is going to do.
Yeah, I don't know how well Netflix will handle their gaming division, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, versus Microsoft. I don't know how good their servers are going to be. But, you know, I think everybody, I mean, dude, we're moving towards a digital age, right? Like, we're already almost there. Like, physical media is dying. And as collectors, it kind of sucks for all of us, you know. But you know, in a few years, man, you're going to stop seeing physical releases for games. You're going to stop seeing disc-based consoles. That everything's going to be a digital box on your shelf, which
Mhm.
is a shame. And also that brings up a conversation of like, what does that mean for our hobby in the future? Because eventually there will be no more physical games. It'll all be digital. These consoles will be digital boxes. So what does that mean for our hobby for collecting physical games and media? Like, what does that mean in the next 10 years? Like, what's going to happen to the mom and pop retro stores? You know, because eventually the things that we think are cool are going to be phased out with the younger generations who didn't grow up with physical media. Like, look at things like the Atari 2600 or even the NES at this point. The NES's popularity has drastically gone down over the last couple of years because the older it gets, the generation that grew up with it or that appreciated it gets older and older, and the newer generations coming in. Like for me, I'm not nostalgic for the NES like at all. I could care less about that console because and I'm not saying it's a bad console. I just
Mhm.
didn't grow up playing those games. I had a Super Nintendo. But my brother, after me and my brother are 10 years apart. My brother was born in 2001. He could care less about the Super Nintendo or the N64 or the PlayStation 1. His first console that he played was the original Xbox and the PS2 and the GameCube. Like those were,
Mhm.
but he was really young then. So like his real memories of gaming was like the 360 and the PS3 and the Wii. And like
Mhm.
after his generation, then they're not going to care about the Wii, the PS3 and all that. And so like 10, 15 years from now, you're going to have a generation where it's like, well, oh man, I remember growing up and I was playing Fortnite on my PS5, and it's like, damn, dude, like, what's going to happen to physical media? It's going to be a relic of the past, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of scary to think about, because what does that mean for all the retro stores that we love to shop at? Like, what does that mean when it comes to a point where the younger kids, they don't care? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think that's a perfect way to segue into another topic. We actually all had a conversation where we were talking about physical media dying, right? But I had brought up a point that I feel like, and this is not even affecting retro. We're talking about current generations in the come. They're going to hit a point where it's not going to be what they thought it's going to be. And I have a feeling that physical media, in terms of video games anyway, and maybe even DVDs too, they're going to come back, because I don't see how they fight off trying to charge people $70 for a game, pretty much leasing it. Just
Yes.
Yeah.
just out of the sake of running good, doing good business practice. That's lawsuits waiting to happen.
Oh,
Mhm.
Like
dude,
there's no
yeah.
way you're gonna be able to sustain. Hey, pay me $70 to lease this game. Like I don't see how they do it. But AK, what you think about that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, the whole point you had to say about, the leasing the game and stuff like that, like, you have to have, like, a good internet to even play the games that you download from, for instance, like,
Hmm.
PlayStation Plus, like, because if you don't have a connection to the internet, they're not gonna let you play because they can't connect to your account to make sure that you have the game, but if you have the
Very
disc,
true.
like, it could just go right in there, you could play, and that's that. So that's why I like digital media for the convenience of, not getting up and having to put the game in, but
Hmm.
I don't like it for, the internet reason, and also, like, it's not as fun,
Yeah,
to collect, you know?
I agree.
So
What you think about? What do you think about it, Rick?
Well, somebody in chat just said, don't forget that licensing with digital games means that your games can be taken away at any
Yep.
time.
Hmm.
And
yeah.
that's the crazy thing. They actually said in chat that their PlayStation 4 port of the Warriors was taken away because of licensing. So it's like you don't really own these games. You're literally,
Nope.
like you said, you're leasing them or renting them. And I think that that's going to be a big issue in the future, especially if digital media becomes the only option. Um, it could be like, what happened in the last few years with a bunch of hipsters wanting to buy vinyl records again, and
Hmm.
we
Yeah.
see that rise in physical media as far as games or DVDs, Blu-rays, or hell, I collect VHS tapes. But I don't know, when that happens. I don't ever know if it'll be as mainstream as it is now. I mean, yeah, people like vinyl records, but like that's kind of a niche thing. I don't know, man. It just kind of sucks. It kind of sucks the way the direction that we're moving, especially if they. I mean, these big AAA games cost like hundreds of millions of dollars to produce,
Hmm.
right? So I don't see them ever willingly charging less, even for the fact that it is digital, which I think a physical copy should be 70 and a digital only copy should be much cheaper, because dude, think of all the money you're saving from not printing a box and printing a manual and making and pressing a disc, and like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like you're not spending as much to do that. So I don't
Right.
understand. But again, they're a greedy corporation who's going to charge $70 regardless. And most kids nowadays don't care. They're like, oh, the new Call of Duty is out, or oh, the new Forza is out. I'm just gonna buy it digitally because I don't care about discs. Now I will say there is some hope. When I was at SoCal with you, I
Hmm.
saw it was cool. I saw it quite a bit throughout the show, but one that stuck out to me was I was at a booth, and these two young kids were walking through the booth, and they had to be like 10 years old, maybe 12 at the most. And the one kid was showing his friend, he goes, oh man, look, they got a virtual boy, or oh man, look, they got an original Game Boy. And I'm like, dude, you're like 12, like this is
Yeah.
awesome. Like this gives me hope. It's like, how do you know what a virtual boy is, dude? Like you're 12. And like that's kind of cool to get to see that still, that I noticed that some kids are being raised right by their parents.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good topic because even here I met MSX Retro, right? So she's here with her kids and her husband, and she was telling me like what they're into and stuff like that. So I think we look at it because we're in the hobby. We're like, all right, this is big. We have these conventions, right? But on you know, grand scheme of things, looking in, we're in a niche, small, right? So I think you're gonna have. It may not be as many, but I mean, we never know. So there's going to be somebody that's going to carry that torch, right?
Yeah.
And even the old mom and pop stores, there's still going to be old mom and pop stores. Like the name of this podcast, Upcoming Retro, their stuff is going to become retro too. So
Yeah.
it's all now. I think over time, like I think it's going to be like a funny area, like as far as especially I would imagine probably after the next console. But even that's kind of up for debate. We think like the next generation is going to be the last of physical media, but Nintendo had no talks of any of that yet at
Mhm.
all.
Yeah,
So
Nintendo will be the last ones to do it if they ever do it.
if they ever do it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
if they ever do it, they march to the beat of their own drum.
And people will buy, dude, and the Switch has proven that people will buy physical games still. Like out of any console,
Mhm.
dude, the Switch proved that people still want a physical box and a cartridge. Like they're killing it. They're going to probably become the number one selling console of all time. Like or they're going to get so damn close to the PS2, but I think that they're going to pass the PS2. And
Yeah,
I love collecting physical Switch games. Like
yeah,
I do, and I like the fact that a lot of the games, the full game is on the cartridge. Whereas like even if you're buying physical media for the Xbox or the PS5, it's not the full game. It's
mhm,
like an unlock code, right?
yeah,
Like that's
yeah, yeah,
basically
yeah.
that's what it is. You buy
Right,
$70 disc, you pop the disc in, and you still need online because you use it basically a code that unlocks the game for you to download. So you're not even
right,
getting the full game anymore. You might get like one or two or a couple gigabytes of data on a disc, and the other 150 gigabytes for Call of Duty is on the damn cloud or online anyway, digitally. So I
yeah.
mean, I think it's just like a visual thing for us, like older people that are like, well, it's still a physical disc, but is it really? Like it's not one of those things where it's like the actual game is on there, but in our head we see it and it's like, well, we have the physical thing, but it's not really there. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Somebody in my chat, OCOG, actually made a good point that modding is becoming really popular too. Like,
Yes.
putting big games like on like other consoles. Like I showed you guys that PSP I
Yeah.
had my last one. I had thousands of games that were just modded on my PSP from like, the NES and like Game Boy games and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
that's another thing that's going to be coming into play. Good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm gonna do that, dude. I'm starting to realize that like, yes, I love physical games in my collection, but like my fat PS3 that's backwards compatible, I'm gonna go get that thing modded and I'm gonna have them put the full PS1, PS2, and PS3 library on that bad boy, and then I won't need physical discs anymore, which, sounds kind of cool to me. I got a modded Wii with like 7,000 games on it or 6,000 games or something stupid. So I
Mhm.
mean, I will always have that love for physical media, but it is kind of cool because again, we all know how expensive retro collecting has become especially since COVID. It'll be nice to be able to play some of those games that we just can't, realistically afford. Like, dude, if you want to play a copy of Crusader of Senti for the Sega Genesis,
Mhm.
for a complete copy, it's like $2,000, and for a loose cartridge, it's like $500. And it's like, but it's a great game. It's a Zelda Link to the Past clone, and it's really fun. Or Little Samson. Little Samson is actually a really great platformer for the NES, but it's a $2,500 game. And if people want to play, they don't want to necessarily have to spend that kind of money unless they're a crazy collector. And so I am totally with emulation and modding your consoles to keep to keep the classics alive and the history of gaming alive so that they're not lost.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think they kind of serve two purposes, right? So one purpose is to preserve the actual media, and then the other purpose is so you can play some of this media that just seems kind of out of reach as far as retail price and stuff like that. But um, I don't know. It's kind of hard seeing where I guess collecting will go, especially when they Well, that's the thing. Everybody's expecting everyone to not do physical media. Like I said, Nintendo has no mention of it. So with that, you kind of don't know. And then what I feel like with those snags, I don't see where they able to sustain. And when you guys were talking, it made me think of a point, and I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about it. Like when Rec was talking about that this only having like 2 gigabytes worth of data on it, right? So we
Yeah.
always got to download. Now, do you think that these corporations, you think that's how they came to the decision that we want to do digital, like meaning okay, we're only putting this on there, or it costs more money to put the data on the disk. Like, do you think that's how they came to that conclusion, or do you think it's convenience? Like, what do you think about that, AK?
I mean, I think it's both. I think companies are always trying to look for ways to save money and make more money. So
Hmm.
I definitely think it's that, but I definitely think hopefully they were thinking of the consumer with, convenience and stuff like that.
Of
Yeah,
course
you
not.
never know nowadays. But
Yeah.
but I mean, I guess it's like, you hit two birds with one stone or whatever they say, like they just thought that was a bonus or something.
Yeah, for them,
Mm.
I don't see where they thought about the consumers. Because if that's the case, you would never remove a game off of your platform, knowing you had
Yeah.
thousands, if not millions, of people will pay for that, and now they don't have access. So
Mhm.
obviously it's a situation. Oh well, but it's messed up when you think about it. I would be pissed if I had a game. I don't care if I hadn't played that game in years. I put my money up. And
Yeah.
then a lot of times you don't want to budge on the price, and that's where the actual physical stores come into play, where you could get deals on these games, because a lot of times the digital store, like, they don't compete with Steam like that. They don't have Steam prices. A lot of
Mhm.
times, if you try to download a game, you're going to pay the full price. They
Mhm.
very seldom have sales, and it's not like what you would see if Walmart is clearancing out a game, or Best Buy, or any GameStop. Prime example of that. They don't have those type of sales.
Mhm.
I've never seen them like really like low where you can find good deals. So I don't see where, from the business standpoint, where that's going to make sense, because if the same money they think they're saving not pressing these this up, they're going to be forking out more trying to, I guess, keep that infrastructure together, whatever, however they run that, to have people to access their digital media, unless it's something where instead of it's done on the cloud, we're able to literally download it and keep it.
Mhm.
But I don't know, because I'd imagine some type of piracy issues, because they don't want you to share the stuff.
Yeah.
That, right? So what do you do? Like, I think that I haven't heard many of us talk about that, but right? What do you think about that? Like, do you think they considered that, or do you think they will go with that move? Like, yeah, you're gonna download it, but you're actually downloading the information to keep. Like, or you got a external hard drive or whatever, you're able to download it. So what do you think about that?
I don't think the companies give a crap enough about us to let us download the games to keep them. They want to keep it the way it is. Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, as much as we love these companies, and I feel like we're somewhat loyal to certain companies or whatever, I don't
Hmm.
think any of them give a damn enough about us to give us that option. And because of licensing and issues that they could have in the future, I'm sure they're going to keep it the same to where they could yank it from you at any given time. And I just don't see that changing. And I think that we're at a point now to where it's like we don't really have a choice, man. If they yank physical media off the shelves, what are we going to do? Stop buying games? I mean, some people might, but the vast majority of people really don't give a shit about physical games anymore. I've even talked to people that are like closer to our age or even older, that are just like they like the convenience of not taking up shelf space, not having to go to the store. Like it's kind of, to me, seems more like a niche market of people that really do care about physical media. Even the older people, they're fascinated with the fact that they can sit on their couch and buy the new Call of Duty and never have to leave their living room. Um,
Right.
and it doesn't take up a lot of room, dude. Like I have an entire room I'm sitting in right now dedicated to video games, right? So like some people don't want that. Some people don't want physical games all over the shelves or DVDs or Blu-rays or VHS. And so it's one of those things where I don't see the companies doing anything in our favor as far as when it comes to actually purchasing a game. I think they're just going to want their $70 and they're going to keep it moving.
Yeah, which
Hmm.
is unfortunate. That's super unfortunate. You got any thoughts on that, AK?
I mean, as to the point that you were just talking about with, being able to like download it and keep it, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think it'll be a step forward, but yeah, I don't really think they're going to do that because I think, yeah, at the end of the day, all they care about is the money that you're putting in their pockets. So,
Yeah,
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 maybe it'd be a step forward, but do I actually see it happening? I don't think so, at least
yeah.
anytime soon,
Yeah.
you know?
I agree. I think it's going to come to a point where it's going to be a fork in the road, and they're going to have to choose. Because I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure if we don't want to give this data, then they'll be able to copy and stuff like that. Like we get that. So I don't see that happening. But at the same time, you know, Michael saying, "Well, what are we going to stop buying video games?" Some people might.
Yeah,
I'm not
maybe.
gonna lie to you. I'm not comfortable paying $70, $60, whatever, for a digital game that I don't know when or if they're gonna get rid of this game, and I can never. And you're not gonna offer to give me my money back or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't
I
do
don't
it.
know if I, yeah, I don't know if I'll become comfortable with that. So they're gonna have to address that issue. But I mean, they're gonna have. I guess we're looking at from our perspective as collectors, which we're still a small amount of people, but on the grand scheme of things, they're probably the casual gamers. They're not gonna care about that,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
And
So,
prices just keep going up too, because I
hmm
know I know you guys heard about, GTA 6 coming out and they're trying to price that, at like 100 or something, at least from
wow,
what I hear, because I guess they're now trying to like price it based on like the hour of gameplay that you have or like how
Yeah.
many hours or something. But they're a huge company and they put a lot in their games and a lot of people would
yeah,
be willing to pay that much. But it's like I feel like it's gonna be like, a trickle effect. Like if they're gonna start charging that much for games, I feel like now everybody else is gonna think that, oh yeah, we could charge $100 because they did it. But it's like they're not gonna have nearly as good of games that
right,
that
Yeah.
Rockstar can come out with. Like what the heck. So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's a good point, right? Of course, you're gonna have companies that's gonna try to piggyback that train, but
Yeah.
you're not GTA.
Well, look,
yeah.
Look how long GTA 4 was out,
hey,
right?
Nintendo
And
did it.
continuously putting out products. Okay.
Nintendo did it with Tears of the Kingdom. Dude, they were like that was the first Switch game to be $70 and
Oh yeah.
they were like, well, and that was a big controversy when they were like, guys, instead of 60, we're charging 70 and they were like everybody else is doing it, we're going to charge 72. And that's what you're going to start seeing. Now, the thing is though is I don't know. I saw that thing with GTA where they're like one of the guys. I think that the higher ups was like, well, what if we charged by the hour and you paid for play time? First of all, that would fail miserably. Nobody would do that, and it would just bomb. Now, when it comes to a game like GTA 6, people will pay $100.
I
People
think
Sure.
so.
100%. People would pay $150 because it's GTA 6. It's the same thing with like people. I know people that like when the new NBA 2K games come out, right? Yeah, you can buy the base game for 70, but people want the super duper deluxe version with the alternate cover, and they're gonna pay 120 for it. Like people will pay it. People will buy GTA 6 for whatever the price tag is, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those people because I'm super stoked for GTA 6 to play it. But
Same.
yeah, it's one of those things, man, where like they're gonna force physical media out sooner than later. Nintendo will be the only one standing strong with physical media, and PlayStation and Xbox is already doing it. They fired a bunch of people in their physical media department. So they're not really into printing discs anymore. So I don't know, man. It's a crazy thing. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 5 to 10 years, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. And like the next gen of consoles, the PS6, Microsoft's next console, like, are they going to have disc versions like this one did, or are they going to be all digital? Like, I don't know. Like, who's to
Yeah.
say?
I think I think it's gonna be based on their sales. I think they're gonna look at the sales. Um, probably around the time they start production.
Yeah.
Just deciding like, is this something that we should move forward with, or should we just wait? I think people are kind of they're probably jumping the gun. Like, we see trends, but when it comes to business, we don't always. We might see numbers, and we may not understand those numbers because we're not the business. But with that being said, let's segue into our show and tell segment of the podcast, where we like to
Yes.
show some recent pickups that we all had during the week. And I'll start because I'm obviously here at Southeast Game Exchange. So you guys are going to see these like super duper early, like first, like exclusive. So picked up this for the DS, very popular franchise. We got Castlevania, Dawn of Sorrow. Great game. Castlevania series is excellent. So I picked that up. Picked up another Castlevania game, Order of Ecclesia, also for the DS.
Oh, also, Marcus, let everybody know what you're doing and why you're buying all these DS games, man.
Not yet.
All right.
I can't give it away. The next game I picked up was Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. Also got that. And another cool thing for conventions, probably everywhere else, picked up this little Game Boy like waste bag.
That's
Mhm.
cool.
To kind of get my money, but that's what I picked up. Who wants to go next?
Go ahead,
Okay.
AK.
Yeah, I can
What you
go.
got?
So I have to mention, I got Luigi's Mansion 2. I know you guys know,
Yes.
but I am loving this game. I love Luigi's Mansion because it's like scary vibes, but it's like not really scary. So love that. I don't really talk about Nintendo enough on my channel, so I'm glad I get to talk about it on the
Yeah.
podcast. And
Yes.
then I picked up Beyond Two Souls Steelbook case or
Okay.
game, you know. So I played this before. I really love this game. It's one of those games where you can like make choices to like decide your future and stuff like that. So I'm really
Okay.
glad because I'm collecting, PS2 and PS3 stuff. So I pick up things here and there when I see them.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
that's
what
really
console is
good.
that on?
This is
Is
on
that
PS3, the Beyond Two
okay?
Souls PS3. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's my stuff.
All right. We don't know where Mike. Oh, he's back. Okay. Well, if you guys follow his social media, he definitely made a post. I
Yeah.
don't know if he's going to be showing all that.
Oh,
But
not all of them. Not all of them. We'd be here all day.
go ahead, Mike.
So
Take it away, bro.
I also picked up a copy of Luigi's
Hey.
Mansion 2. So I'm excited to play that. I am waiting for them to release the first game, remaster the first game, and put it on there so we can get all three of them on the Switch. So I haven't played it yet, but it looks like a lot of fun. So you guys know, if you watch my channel, that I am going for the full North American PlayStation 2 set of over 1,800 games. And so we picked up some games in a trade. The video of that will be coming out soon because I picked up a lot more than this. But these are the real notable ones that I got the other day. So first up, we picked up Mobile Suit Gundam Zeonic Front. And then we picked up Gundam Federation vs. Zeon. Then we picked up Gundam Never Ending Tomorrow. Then we picked up Gundam Journey to Jaburo. I was never a huge Gundam fan growing up. I did like anime, but wasn't a huge fan of that. Then I got a copy of this Gun Griffin Blaze. This is a Working Designs game.
Okay.
Then I'm showing this one because it was kind of crazy because it did have a little bit of value. And that is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This was
That
actually,
had value?
yeah, it was like a $25 game. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it shocked me. I was like, really? It's random. Then I picked up a copy of Ico for the PS2. I got Obscure, The Aftermath, which is the sequel to the first Obscure. So the first one's going to be the really expensive one. And then the two big ones that I picked up is I picked up Shadow Hearts. This one is From the New World. This is the third game. And then I also picked up Shadow Hearts, the first game. I have the second game, Covenant, already, so to be able to complete the set with these was awesome. These were the two big ones that I got in my trade. So a lot more PS2 games. I picked up like 142 PS2 games.
Wow.
through a trade the other day. But these were the more notable titles that I got. So yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty much everything I've picked up in the last week or so. So
Okay.
Awesome.
So you said you got 142 titles. Now let me ask you this:
yes.
was that the biggest pickup that you had, like at one time? Was that the most games you ever bought at one time?
No, the most I've ever bought at one time is I bought a lot of games off a lady. This was probably a year and a half ago, maybe.
Hmm.
I bought like 400 games from her.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so and I bought a couple consoles and accessories and all kinds of stuff. Basically, her and her husband were cleaning out their house. They lived on this big property out in the middle of nowhere, about an hour from me. And I had saw my mom had sent me a Facebook Marketplace post, and my mom is adorable. She knows nothing about retro games, but anytime she sees something on Facebook, she sends me the link, and she doesn't know if it's a good deal or not, but she always sends me stuff like, "Is this a good one? Is this a good one?" And this
Yeah.
one actually ended up being a good one. There was a lady who posted on Facebook Marketplace where it was literally a entire bookshelf filled with PS2 games, and she was asking for $5 a game. And I was like, "Oh, dude, that's actually pretty good. I don't know what titles are in there, but it's worth checking out." So I messaged the lady. I drive an hour out there. It was nighttime, mind you. Like, I was like, "Is it okay if I come? It's already 7 o'clock at night." And she was like, "Oh yeah, you're the first person to hit me up. So yeah, come on out." I go and look at these PS2 games, dude, and there were so many great titles in there. And I was like, $5 a game. I took $100 with me, and I was like, because I didn't know how many I was gonna buy. I was like, well, $100, I can get like 20 games at $5 a piece. Whatever, that's cool. Well, when I get there, I realized, man, these are some really awesome games. And they're like, oh yeah, we have more in the garage. And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, can I look at those? They're like, yeah, we're selling everything, dude. They had Wii, NES, Super Nintendo, Wii U, PS4, PS3. Like, they had so
Wow.
much stuff. They had a CIB NES action set console. Like,
Okay.
they had a couple loose Xbox 360s and Wii's, and they're like, yeah, all of our kids grew up and this stuff just sits. And they were pushing me, please buy it all. Like, we'll give you a really good deal. Like, just, do you want it all? And I'm like, guys, I only brought $100. Let me just get these games for now and let me think about it. Well, I'm leaving their house and I call my dad and I'm like, Dad, they were just trying to give these games away. And he's like, well, do you think it was a good deal? And mind you, my dad also knows nothing about retro games. And I go, yeah, but like, he's like, well, why don't you ask them how much they want for all of it? And I said, Dad, I don't really have the money, to buy
Hmm.
the whole lot. And he's like, that's not what I asked you. Call them back and ask them how much they want for all of it. And I'm like, okay. So I called him. I was like, hey, Mary. And she's like, oh my God, Mike, she was a sweet, like, lady, like in her 60s. And she's like, oh my God, Mike, you just left the house. Are you okay? Did you make it home safe? And I'm like, Mary, I'm totally fine. I just had a question. How much do you want for everything? All of it. And I could hear her husband in the background go, all of it? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, the consoles too? I was like, everything you have. She's like, well, can we think about it, Mike? And we'll let you know first thing in the morning. I said, absolutely, Mary. You let me know what you want for it, and I'll talk to you in the morning.
Hmm.
So I wake up in the morning, and she had texted me at like 6 a.m. and was like, okay, Mike, we have our number. What do you want to offer us? And I hate when people do that because I don't want to,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to like, I don't want to like come off as rude or like, I don't want to like offend them with an offer. But like, there were so many games there, dude. I don't know which ones were actually in their boxes. I don't know which ones actually had the manuals. I don't know how scratched up the discs are because she said they were her kids. Like, I don't want to lowball the lady and be like, I'll give you $100, but like, I also didn't want to like, pay too much either and get kind of screwed on the deal because my dad is like literally giving me the money to do this. So I'm
Hmm.
like, all right. I called my dad. I said, Dad, what do you think? He's like, dude, I don't know anything about games. I'm just lending you the money. Like, what do you think's a good deal? I was like, well, it's your money. You cool with $500? And he was like, yeah, ask them if they'll do $500. I texted Mary back. I said, Mary, will you do 500? She instantly texts back and goes, can you do 6? My dad says, go get him. And so I drove to my dad's house. My dad gave me $600 in cash. I drove back out there an hour at like 9 or 10 in the morning, and I loaded my truck with 400 games. from all different consoles and generations. And so, and I, this is the first time I'm openly admitting this on like anything social media, because I talked to Mort and I was going to make a video on this and I decided not to, because I didn't want people to think I'm like some scumbag piece of trash who screwed this lady over. I gave her what she was asking for. I gave her $100 the night before. That's $700. Well, when I sat down with my brother and he helped me price chart everything, it came out to about $4,000 in value.
Oh my
Wow.
Now, mind you, the most expensive game in that entire lot was the Pirates of Darkwater, which is a Super Nintendo game. It was $120. So it's not like I ripped her off for a little Samson or an Earthbound.
Right.
Like,
just the overall value. But
yes,
I hate when people do that, because honestly, nobody is going to sit and, well, you may have a few people, but it's not going to be many. I'm not sitting and price chart and all that. I'm
yeah,
just not. Like, all right, there's some common games, all right, whatever.
yeah.
Like, really kind of sitting there and going through that. But when you price chart and come up with the value, then people, oh, you screwed them over. But no, bro, you're not even going to sit there and do that. I know
Yeah.
you're not,
Well,
so
well,
it's like.
Well, basically what I did was I took those 400 games, I kept the ones I wanted. So I kept about 120 games. The
Mhm.
other games I took to my friends that own game stores and I let them pick through what they wanted, and I traded it to them to get like my copy of Haunting Ground for the PS2. I traded it for a Pandora's Box like arcade setup. Like, I didn't sell any of the games. I traded them for other games, and I kept the ones that I wanted. So I was happy with that. But like you said, dude, the most expensive game in that entire lot was $120. So it's not like I was sitting fat on like $300-$400 a piece games. Like most of the games were common titles in the $5 to $20 range was like the average price of these games. Like, there was a lot of
Right.
sports, there was a lot of shovelware. You know what I mean? There was a lot of garbage in there that I wasn't going to keep. So, I mean, but that was the biggest trade. I know that was a long-winded story. That's the first time I've ever told that story on social media, because I didn't know how people would feel about that. You know what I mean? That's why I didn't make a video. They're like, you only gave her $700 and it was worth $4,000. I'm like, yeah, but I had 30 copies of Madden at $5 a piece. That's why it was $4,000.
Like 99 cents a piece for any old man.
Yeah,
Period.
because guys, look, just because price charting says a game is worth $5 or $6 doesn't mean people are going to pay that for a copy of Madden or a copy of NHL 2001. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's just what the value came out to be. And I got some games I wanted, kept the ones I wanted, and yeah, it just kind of worked out. But that's the biggest. This is the second biggest though. The 142 games that I picked up. That was the second biggest for sure. I don't normally buy lots of games like that at one time.
Yeah. So how about you, AK? What was your biggest pickup at one time?
No, it's embarrassing to say. Honestly, I probably bought like 5 at a time at like a store. Yeah,
Yeah.
even to think like anything more than 10 is crazy for me. But
Yeah.
I just started making big girl money, so I got
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, you're gonna have those. I love to just randomly go on Craigslist to see if I find something now, even though everybody's using Marketplace. Because I think the biggest one that I got, some lady just the post just said a bunch of video games, $10, take them all. So I'm like, I got $10 a week, whatever. I'm not expecting anything. $10, and that may not even been the biggest, but it was the most valuable, right? So I go to this lady's house, and I don't carry cash a lot, and I was like, I'm sorry, I have $7. Like, I'll go and get the money. She, no, it's fine. She's like, I just need to get rid of this stuff. Man, I made money off of that like a year. Like, I made a couple grand off of that. There was, just for an example, I've told a story before. It was like 2 SNES in there, Genesis, a Game Gear. That already sounds crazy, right? $7. Then she called me back and said she had more, and I didn't give her any more money, right? Um, or I think it's Super Turrican for the SNES, $250 game that was in there. Tecmo Bowl Special Edition, that's $100 game. The biggest game that was in there, Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
Yep.
wow, dude.
And you want to know what's funny? Like, I don't collect SNES, even though I'm a Nintendo guy. Like, oh, you should know. Well, not I don't may not know the values of things, and if it's not really piquing my interest, like I'll overlook things because if I'm focused on whatever I'm looking for, right? So I remember when I really like got into trading stuff a couple years ago. I looked on the shelf. I was like, man, I think some of these SNES games have some value, right? Chrono Trigger's literally sitting there. And I looked up, holy, right? Because I didn't pay it any attention. I hear it, but like I wasn't focused on SNES. I was doing the Wii at the time, so I'm just kind of like looking for that. So I took those two. My buddy, one of my employees came and brought me a ton of games. One of those games was Streets of Rage 3 on the Genesis. That was $100 game. So I literally went to Portland for their swap meet, not the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, the swap meet. And I took these games and I traded the Chrono Trigger, Super Turrican, and I I got $500 worth of trade out the gate just for those two games. So I
Mm,
picked up like five heavy hitters for the Wii. And basically, he was like, "All right, so these five heavy hitter Wii games, which was Mentor Academy, that was $120 game. Um, Calling was another one. Uh, Klonoa, because at the time that was over $100. What was the last one? I can't remember, but they were all $100 games. I pretty much traded five of those for those two games. So that was probably, I guess, the biggest in terms of value. But
mm.
that was insane. But we are coming to our mark, so we're gonna
Yeah.
end the podcast a little bit early this week because I need to get back to the convention.
Yep.
But
So
AK Games.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead. You got something right?
no. Before we go, and I wasn't sure if you're going to do this, but I want to hear what you guys have upcoming for your channels, like for people to look out for in the future.
Okay.
So,
Hey,
Marcus, what do you got coming up before we go?
okay. So I'm going to. Well, I'm kind of gonna make two big announcements. One is going to be the end of like a certain series, and the other one's going to be the beginning of another series.
Okay.
So that's what I got coming up. I'm super excited to start that. I'm kind of ironing out the details as far as the direction I want to take with it, but that's what's coming up as far as my content. Next convention I'm going to be at is Retro World in Connecticut. That's in August.
Nice. And
Yeah.
right now, like you said earlier, you're at Siege Southeast Game
Yep.
Exchange. So I'm sure in the near future we're going to see content from that convention as well.
Absolutely. It's going to be plenty of content.
Hell yeah. And AK, what about you? What do we got upcoming for your channel in the near future?
Yeah, so I'm gonna eventually be having pretty much like a breakdown of the PSP because I just got one, so I'm gonna just be talking about what it was like during that era and stuff like that. I might also be having some more game analysis coming, and stuff like that. I might be doing a Spyro one, so yeah, a lot of cool things coming up.
Nice, awesome. Really quick, please humor me. It's my favorite part of the show. Just really quick. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to discuss it. We can piss people off and they can leave a comment. Gaming hot takes. Gaming hot takes. Give me a good one right now. Marcus, go.
Xbox still sucks.
All right. Well, I can't argue with that right now. AK, give me a great gaming hot take. Go.
I don't like Crash Bandicoot.
Oh no.
I knew you were gonna have a reaction to that.
That's different.
That's fighting words. I love Crash, dude. Okay. I think The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Final Fantasy VII are highly overrated and nowhere near the best in their franchises, like by far. Majora's Mask is better. Bro, straight up, Final Fantasy VII, Ocarina of Time, highly overrated. There are better games in those franchises. Whoa. So basically what's coming up for my channel, guys, is I have the SoCal Gaming Expo video that's being being edited right now. So SoCal video's coming. I did a video at Fire and Ice Games, the largest game store in California, and that's part of my PS2 pursuit. I picked up a really big banger there. So that video's coming. That's 2 right there. The video where I just picked up 142 games is in the works. I have a video dropping today at 11 o'clock for the PS2 Pursuit. It's a real special one for me. So that's like 4 videos right there. Obviously the podcast, and I got some other stuff in the works. I've been really focusing heavy on the PS2 Pursuit and picking up as many PS2 games as I can for the full set. So other than that, yeah, it's really just going to be a big focus on the PS2 right now, you guys, whether it's short form, pictures on Instagram, and long form videos on YouTube. So that's what you got to look forward to coming from me. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. So that is going to conclude episode 2 of your podcast, Upcoming Retro Podcast. We will see you guys next Sunday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
And 9
Peace.
Pacific time. Later, guys. Have a good rest of your weekend, and we will talk very soon. Happy hunting, everybody.
Later, people.
Later, guys.